Well, the 2022 Southeast Regional Fruit and Vegetable Conference recently wrapped up in Savannah, Georgia. And this gathering celebrated 20 years of uniting growers and suppliers in the region. Well, Chip Carter with Southeast Produce Weekly was in attendance at that event, and he joins us now for a quick recap. And Chip, as always, thanks for taking the time to sit down.
Good morning, Janet. I'm so thrilled to be here in Nashville. I'm usually hopping from place to place all over the road. It feels good to have a place to sit down a minute.
Yeah, you do cover a lot of ground for sure. So give us kind of an idea, how was the conference this year?
We do, and number one, the most important thing about the conference this year is that it was back.
Yeah.
The last time they had this show was January of 2020, and about 2 weeks after we left Savannah, the world caught fire, and it still hasn't quite gone out. So just to be there was extraordinary. What was remarkable, that show often has upward of 3,500 registrants. They were only off by a couple of hundred this year from pre-pandemic numbers. So that was extraordinarily encouraging. And people were there just to continue business as usual. And it was fantastic just to see everybody and the action on the floor.
If you would, speak to the value of the growers and suppliers coming together in this kind of a setting.
I think what we've seen, when all of this started, we all started scrambling for ways to get together and continue. This is such a face-to-face business. All of agriculture is, but especially on the produce and specialty crop side, for people who grow food by the ton to connect with people who buy food by the ton. That's where it literally happens. Sure, people work the phones, they work the Zooms, but what we found in the absence of a face-to-face trade show was people trying to do digital shows and virtual shows, and that turned out to be about a 10-hour Zoom meeting. And I think we've all become very fond of very short Zoom meetings if we have to have them at all. So this industry just, it simply could not operate that way. And to get the face-to-face component back, I think it's absolutely necessary, and I don't think produce and specialty crop can function without that face-to-face interaction. So it's just critically important. You can't overemphasize the importance.
Did you have a favorite moment from this year's conference?
Being back.
Yeah.
Just being back, being in Savannah, Georgia. You know, so many, the big focus this year, there's so much focus there was a lot of talk about peaches. Peaches are making a big comeback. A lot of focus on citrus, not so much in Florida where we think about it, but an exploding citrus industry in South Georgia, which is one of the last places you would think, well, how do they have oranges in Georgia?
Well, I know you've done a report on that before for us.
Several of them, and we're going to be talking a lot more about it because it's just exploding. And then focus, berries, 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 berries. We can't grow enough.
Now, Chip, you're also going to be taking the camera with you and doing a little bit more. Talk about your new show that's going to launch.
We've taken a lot of cameras with us and some sound crew and some people who hold things and people. I look around, I'm not even sure what they do. Our new show, Where the Food Comes From, is really going to tell people just that. We're going way behind the scenes. We don't even use the words farm to fork. We say laboratory to legislature because that's what it is. So we're covering the entirety of the food chain, and it's not just a look, this is how they do it. We're actually looking at the issues that drive it. Well, it's the same issues that face all farmers.
And whenever you're talking laboratory to, what was it, laboratory to legislature? You know, there's a lot of research that takes place in our food system to make sure that we're getting the latest, greatest, best tasting food product available.
Which is amazing because you look at it and you're kind of like, well, isn't a peach just wonderful? Well, yeah, they're trying to make a better peach even now. So, and it's not GMO, it's just traditional breeding. And this is how we've always gotten the next best product, the next best crop.
Not too far away. We are going to be into springtime, and we're going to have those fresh smells of our fresh produce coming back to us at the grocery store and at our farmers markets. Well, Chip Carter, he is with Southeast Produce Weekly, joining us here in studio. And of course, stay tuned. We'll sit back down with Chip today at 12:30 Eastern to learn even more about that new show premiering on RFD-TV later this month.